What's going on, guys? Today we are doing a mock draft, a 7-round mock draft using the Draft Network's mock draft machine to cover the Minnesota Vikings. Now, admittedly, of all the mock drafts I've done so far, I have done the least amount of prep for this one. So this will be interesting to see how this all turns out. So like I said, I've done the least amount of work to prepare for this one. Maybe not the smartest idea to go into it this way, but I do plan on working this out and seeing where Minnesota goes. So you can see we've already pulled up the mock draft machine. We've already started everything. Pick 12, this is how the board fell. I would have loved to get a Ahmad Gardner at the spot. We know the Vikings are under new management, so they don't have the same front office that tends to draft cornerbacks. However, I still think drafting a corner at the spot makes a lot of sense for Minnesota. Take a look at their depth chart, what they're dealing with right now. I think they will handle things differently going forward than the past regime did. But if you're really looking at the cornerback position, you are in a lot of trouble. So, and in the NFL right now, you really need two good corners on the outside, a good slot. You at least need a proven corner on the outside. I do like Cameron Dantzler. I don't think he's been given the opportunities to succeed that you would prefer him to have gotten so far in his career. So I think that's a need. The offensive line, I don't know what to think about Wyatt Davis, frankly. At right guard, I think that could be a concern. You could probably upgrade at center, but I don't think it's a big enough need where you go to that position high in the draft. You have to bet on Christian Darrisaw being a good player. I think you might want to consider adding another receiver. I know KJ Osborne was solid last year, but maybe consider adding another one. And then someone to replace Sheldon Richardson on the defensive line, perhaps. You have Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter, and it seems like Danielle Hunter's not going anywhere. They plan on keeping him around, which is a huge plus for them if he can stay healthy. But yeah, I think corner is a massive need. I think that's where we're going to start here. And immediately Andrew Booth's on the board, Trent McDuffie's on the board. It's really down to those two for me. I went to Clemson. I saw Andrew Booth in person a few times. He needs to learn position still. He's only been a starter for, I think, 2 years at this point. You can tell he's a bit jumpy at times. How do I say this? His footwork needs big work done. He needs to work on his footwork. He needs to work on maybe not jumping at the first thing he sees so many times, because that happens occasionally. But he has all the athletic traits to being an elite player. He can probably play man or zone coverage. Played a lot of zone at Clemson. Has the skill set to play man coverage in the NFL. I imagine that will be a huge plus for Minnesota. So I'm going to go Andrew Booth Jr. here. And he has really good ball skills. Okay, and we're not taking any trades this time around. I've done this before. I've explained this before. I don't like taking trades in mock drafts like this. I understand trades are a huge part of the draft itself, but I can't predict those, so I just prefer to sit tight most times. Although hopefully I will do trades eventually. I want to have some fun with the trades, and I want to enjoy it a little bit. But now picking at 46 overall, immediately I'm thinking safety. Jalen Petrie and Kirby Joseph are part of the two of the upper class of safeties in this draft. And there are about maybe 5 or 6 upper class safeties right after Kyle Hamilton, who's obviously in his own tier entirely. Harrison Smith's getting up there in age. He signed a contract extension not too long ago. He's getting paid good money. He's still a good player. I'm not planning on replacing him. It's a tough situation because I really do like Cameron Bynum. And he played really well in limited snaps last year. I think he can be a really good NFL safety. But the difference between betting on a guy who had a couple starts last year and Jalen Petrie, who I know can play in the slot if he has to, and he can do a lot of things and really be a roamer on that defense and make a lot of plays, it's hard to pass up someone like Jalen Petrie in that situation. We're going to look around a little bit and see what else is out there. Christian Watson's out there. That would be interesting. So is George Pickens, David Bell. This is a deep receiver class, though. I think I can get a receiver. Let me check on the draft pick real quickly. Because I can probably still get a decent receiver at 77. I can definitely get someone at that point. So I'm going to hold off on receiver there. Could double down a corner if you really want to. Roger McCree is a guy I like quite a bit. Tariq Woolen also on the board. Tyler Smith is there. Tyler Smith, we would have to move him to right guard in the situation. That'd be bumping Wyatt Davis, who I really like. I have no idea what to think about with Wyatt Davis. He could be a good player, could not be a good player. It would be really useful if I could see him in practice to determine where he is. Brian O'Neill is a solid tackle. I don't want to replace him at right tackle. He's a solid player. And Christian Darrisaw, you're hoping he's going to be a high-end caliber player. But the defensive line does need someone versatile enough to replace someone like Sheldon Richardson. And I know DeMarvin Leal is a polarizing player for a lot of reasons. But if we're looking at what fits that Sheldon Richardson mold and I get the defense is changing this year. It's not the same as it was last year. But we're looking at someone who can play a 3-4 role like that. I mean, DeMarvin Leal kind of is your guy in this class. If we're looking at what else is out there, and who else remaining would even play it? Well, Cameron Thomas, and Josh Pascal, Logan Hall. Actually, now I look at it, I think Logan Hall I like a little bit more than DeMarvin Leal. We're talking about in this situation, or DeMarvin Leal, however you want to say his last name. I think I like Logan Hall a little bit more to play this role, be a bit of a tweener. And this stinks because we're not going to get everything we want in this draft class. And I know safety is a big role. Safety is something we really need to address. But there are guys like Brian Cook and JT Woods down there we can get later on. Even Reed Blankenship, Rome McKinley, guys who are still quality players, even going down to someone like Smoke Monday. Quality players can add depth to that position. Yeah, I'm going to take Logan Hall here and play him along defensive line. He's a bit of a tweener, and same thing with Leal. It's kind of a bit of a trade-off there. Cam Thomas, I mean, I don't really think he's going to be a 3-4 defensive end. He could be. I don't think he's going to be. I think he got upside when he reduces inside, but I don't think that's his permanent home. Someone like Logan Hall, I think he can move around quite a bit. But I like him more playing on the interior longer, or at least for a larger percentage of snaps. All right. Boy, I'm unsure about this. Logan Hall, it is. I would have loved Jalen Petrie there. I would have, but like I said, I do. When I saw Cam Bynum last year, I liked him quite a bit. I thought he was decent coming out of college as well. We will find competition for him later on in this draft process. We're not going to let him go unchallenged. Okay, cornerback, some decent corners there. Who's left at wide receiver? Jalen Tolbert's the guy I was eyeing up anyways. Average over 17 yards per catch in each of his past 3 seasons at South Alabama. Going to be really useful at getting downfield. He's going to be an outside guy, not necessarily a slot receiver. So you can do a lot with him. Adam Thielen probably won't get traded this year, but there's the thought of maybe moving on from him in the future. And if you're going to do that, something like Jalen Tolbert, getting him now would be a better idea than waiting a year or two and betting on there being options later on. You just look again real quick. Yeah, I just signed Jordan Hicks this offseason. So linebacker. I mean, that's not like Jordan Hicks is not like a world record, but I mean, I think it's enough to solidify the linebacker position in my mind. We're going to add Jalen Tolbert. That should address the depth at wide receiver because we already have KJ Osborne who did pretty well last year. Like, I'm not trying to replace KJ Osborne per se, because I think KJ did pretty good last year. I'm just acknowledging that wide receiver is a really important need for every team in the NFL. And you can get an opportunity to get someone like Jalen Tolbert in the 3rd round that late. I think that's a pretty good opportunity to go out there and really improve your offense. And not just for this coming season, but also for 2 years in the future, 3 years in the future, and so on. Tolbert did have a pretty good Senior Bowl. Yep, and we're sitting here until 156. A lot of guys are going with the board. I always hate this part, just sitting and watching them go. I can't imagine. It must be so stressful for general managers and for team members to watch this happen. But yeah, let's see what we can do here. Brian Cook is right there. All right, well, that makes life a little bit easier. What else do we want to add? Maybe wait on the interior offensive line. Running back, we're pretty good at, I think, right? I mean, yeah. As long as we have Alexander Madison and Dalvin Cook under contract, I'm okay with not touching any running backs. Tight end, I don't know how. Where's he coming? Kevin O'Connell. Yeah, I don't remember them using a lot of 2 tight end sets in LA. They use mostly 3 wide receivers. So, assuming Irv Smith Jr. is healthy, which he wasn't last year, but assuming he's healthy this year, I think you have your guy there. I wouldn't be too worried about trying to go out and get another tight end for this offense. Someone like Cole Turner might fit the scheme, but Cole Turner has not had a good pre-draft process. Cam Jurgens at center would be interesting. So Garrett Bradbury's been pushed around a little bit. But again, I don't know. It comes down to the scheme fit of how O'Connell wants to run it. I'm just basing it off my knowledge what the Rams do. Yeah, so we're just going to go safety here then. Make it nice and easy. I do like JT Woods a little bit more than Brian Cook for this specific area. Because Cook play a lot in the box. Cook is a converted he played cornerback at Howard. He transferred to Cincinnati and then played safety. He's primarily worked in the box this past year. But he can play like in the slot. He's done that before too. And he's played deep safety as well. But I like in this scheme Harrison Smith being the guy who kind of gets to be more the versatile mover in this sense. So something like JT Woods might fit a little bit better. So I'm going to go JT Woods here. And Woods has had a pretty impressive pre-draft process. He had an interception at the Senior Bowl. He's someone that I really didn't become aware of until fairly late in the process. Like I mentioned, I became aware of him at the Senior Bowl. I really didn't know who he was before that, which is why some things like the Senior Bowl are so important. Now, granted, I'm obviously not an NFL scout or something like that. Guys who know what they're talking about would have seen him long before me. But yeah, Zach Tom tested really well at the combine. He's going to be probably more sought after than this, I would say. Yeah, I'm going to go Damone Clark here because he's going to have to sit out a year. He's going to have surgery for a herniated disc. He's probably going to miss the entirety of his rookie season. But we're talking about a sixth round pick here, 184. This is a guy who would have been a top 100 pick, likely would have been a third round pick, top of the third round pick. Now you get him in the sixth round. And we have two other picks come up here, 191 and 192. I think getting him at this point, even if he has to redshirt for a year, that's really good value. So I'll go there, and he will eventually replace Jordan Hicks in the starting lineup. Yeah, I really like that. It really worked out well for me there. I'm so tempted to go Justin Ross here, but I don't think Ross will fall this far. This is more of a TDN thing. I think Ross, I've said before, I think Ross is going to fall to me at the top of the fourth round. I know PFF still has him like in the 60s, I think, recently. I don't know. They have him pretty high, Pro Football Focus. And I understand why, because he was a beast as a freshman. He was really just a sophomore, too. But I just didn't see the same player. So I got to see him in his first 2 years in person. He looked phenomenal. He didn't look the same at all this past year. So I don't know where he's going to end up. But probably not this far down, so I'm not going to take him here. I don't want to cheese the system too much. Yeah, and if Thomas Booker is still here, I'm going to take Thomas Booker just because he's a very versatile interior defensive lineman. He tested really well at the combine. He's a developmental guy who doesn't really have a clearly defined role. He's a bit of a tweener. But that could work in this defense. I mean, it really could. He's going to have a little bit of trouble against the run, I believe. But I'm willing to take him and develop him and see what I can get out of him. Now looking around. Yeah, Tyler Algier is a guy I think will probably be gone as well at this point. I know some of our outlets are higher on him than the Draft Network. Although I'm not sure when this was most recently updated, the mock draft simulator. Let's see what we've done. We've not taken an offensive lineman yet. That's probably my mistake. I imagine I'm going to get yelled at a little bit for that one, and probably fairly so. Let's see, offensive tackle, don't love it. Oh, actually, I do like Stuber and Gadecki. If you project them as guards, I like them quite a bit. And Chris Paul is a solid player as well. I know Joe Marino has talked about his teammate a lot from Tulsa. And again, Gadecki probably won't be this far. Probably won't make it this far down. I don't think. Let's see. I might just go Chris Paul here. Because I've seen Stuber get beat at the Senior Bowl fairly frequently. Yeah, I'm going to go Chris Paul here. But understand those three guys, Gadecki, Stuber, Chris Paul, are all kind of bunched together for me in that selection. They're all relatively in the same category, in my opinion. There's no one who's clearly better of those guys. And I do think Gadecki will be gone by that point, though. I think Gadecki actually No, talking myself into it. Kadecki graded a lot better last year, playing tackle, would probably transition to guard. I think he actually has the best projection of those guys, but I don't want to take players who I believe will be gone at this point. I don't want to cheat per se, which I think there are ways to cheat in these kind of simulations. I don't want to. Let's see. Pick 250. Punter? You could go punter. Who's the punter from Minnesota? I don't know this. Oh, it's Jordan Berry. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I know about Jordan Berry. I'll leave Jordan Berry alone. I won't mess with him. I'll leave him alone. Let's see. When in doubt, pick a premier position. So, Spoke Mondays are going to be at least a good special teamer, though. Another variable. Yeah, just jumping around. There's no one that clearly jumps out to me here. I think Christopher Allen would be a pretty good player, though, in the pros as an edge rusher, as an outside linebacker. Well, Zion McCollum, I already know Zion McCollum won't be here. Neither will Trey Castro Fields. Those guys are going to go higher, that's for sure. So I'm not going to pick either one of those two, but I know they're not going to be available here at this point in the process. Tyler Vrabel might be. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to go Christopher Allen here. I think he can develop into an outside linebacker and be a pretty good edge rusher. Okay, this is actually not that bad in my opinion. I think the biggest mistake I could have made was not addressing the offensive line earlier than I did. I think someone like Chris Paul's a serviceable interior offensive lineman to give competition to someone like Wyatt Davis. But I do think there's going to be a group of Vikings fans who are going to want me to go tackle at some point in the mid-rounds, I imagine. Maybe push Brian O'Neill, who he's a solid player. He's a solid starter. And sometimes you have to build around those kind of guys. You can't always have star players at every spot on the offensive line. Potential positioning, because I'm not a Vikings fan, so I don't know. Maybe one they might have wanted an upgrade for is Garrett Bradbury at center, who gets dragged to the mud a lot because he is kind of more of a scheme-specific center. But I think we've done a decent job of addressing some of their needs. I could have gone corner again. I probably should have gone corner a second time after getting Andrew Booth, but I didn't. I probably could have easily gone corner again. That would have helped out quite a bit. Overall, this is a solid draft haul. Maybe not what you need to rebuild the Vikings and make them a contender with teams like Minnesota, teams like Green Bay in that division, but I think it's a solid first haul. Guys like Logan Hall is going to be good for the defensive front. Andrew Booth is going to start right away. JT Woods is going to have a chance to start within the first couple of years of his contract. Damone Clark could probably start next year, assuming he's healthy. Thomas Booker is going to have an opportunity to be in a rotational role this year as a rookie. Potentially Chris Paul as well, depending on the health of that offensive line, which was not very good last year. And then Christopher Allen, a guy who could be a rotational player as well. So that's my mock draft for the Minnesota Vikings. Make sure you go check out the Draft Network. That's where you can have access to this mock draft machine for yourself. And guys, thank you again for tuning in. I hope you all have enjoyed the video and hope you all stop by later. But for now, have a good day, and I'll talk to you all hopefully tomorrow.